The most boisterous voice seldom emerges victorious. Instead, it's often the quieter voice, infused with purpose, that prevails. Silence embodies strength. When you limit your words, people become more attentive. By taking the time to observe, you can navigate around the crowd effectively. In an era entranced by constant noise, your ability to withhold your words turns into a powerful tool. If you disclose too much, you forfeit your advantage. Genuine strength is rooted in silence. Authentic power resonates rather than shouts. Will you temper your speech and refine your actions, or will you continue to squander your potential through unnecessary chatter? The world is already watching what you do. Soon, you'll uncover how embracing silence can serve as your hidden advantage to achieve greater success by speaking less and acting more. The essence of intentional silence. Have you noticed how those who wield the most influence in a room often say the least? They listen closely, observe carefully, and when they choose to speak, everyone pays attention to their words. This isn't mere happenstance. It's the effectiveness of intentional silence in action. In a society that lauds noise and elevates the loudest voices clamoring for attention, silence has become an overlooked skill. Make no mistake, silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is power in its own right. The capacity to remain quiet while others vie for recognition signifies immense self-control and inner strength. Consider the brilliant minds who have influenced our world. Did they achieve prominence by incessantly broadcasting their plans? No, they operated in focused silence until their accomplishments communicated everything needed. Purposeful silence helps you save mental energy. Each word carries a cost, attention, focus, and energy that could otherwise be devoted to your aspirations. When you opt to speak less, you naturally create room to accomplish more. This doesn't imply you should become uncommunicative. Rather, it's about being deliberate with both your words and your efforts. The significance of silence extends beyond merely holding back your speech. It involves the discipline of quieting negative self-talk, silencing excuses, and muting the distractions that divert you from your true purpose. When you adopt intentional silence, you start to perceive the whispers of opportunity that are often obscured by incessant noise. You might be asking yourself, how can I tap into the power of silence in my life? The answer is straightforward yet profound. Begin by listening more than you speak. In meetings, try to resist the impulse to jump in with your thoughts immediately. Instead, take in what others are saying, fully process it, and then, only when necessary, share your insights. Observe how people react differently to your comments when they stem from a place of considered silence instead of impulsive remarks. Muhammad Ali, one of the most iconic boxers in history, once remarked that the battle is won or lost far from the public eye, in the gym, on the road, long before he stepped under the spotlight. His greatest triumphs weren't achieved through clever wordplay, but during the silent, arduous hours of training when no one was observing. Embrace the power of intentional silence. Allow your actions to resonate while your words remain few and measured. Remember, a waterfall makes noise, yet the vast ocean remains silent. It is within the depths of the ocean that true power resides. Your path to success doesn't begin with grand statements, but with quiet determination. Start now, speak less, listen more, work fervently in silence, and watch as your results create the noise necessary to make an impact. Why is silence so important? Have you ever taken a moment to notice just how loud your life has become? It's not just the external noise, even though that's abundant, but the relentless flow of information, opinions, and distractions that inundate your thoughts every moment you're awake. The never-ending meetings and ceaseless conversation have fostered a world where silence is a rarity. This noise isn't merely irritating, it's a barrier to your success. When your mind is ceaselessly inundated with information, it can become impossible to engage in deep thinking, meaningful reflection, or strategic planning. The clamor of contemporary life has emerged as the greatest robber of your potential. Yet, the issue extends beyond mere productivity. This persistent noise undermines your ability to make sound decisions. When you find yourself constantly reacting to the latest crisis, addressing the most recent demand, or being drawn into yet another discussion, you deprive yourself of the necessary mental space for strategic thought. The chatter blocks the silence needed for wisdom to surface. John F. Kennedy frequently set aside designated thinking periods in his presidential schedule, times when he would isolate himself from the chaos of the Oval Office to contemplate and evaluate the critical challenges confronting the nation. These moments weren't indulgences. They were essential for effective leadership. Establish physical areas that promote silence, even if it's merely a small nook in your house where you can sit undisturbed for 15 minutes. Having a specific spot for quiet contemplation can revolutionize your thought processes. The renowned industrialist Andrew Carnegie maintained a dedicated room in his home to retreat and think without interruptions, a habit that significantly contributed to his remarkable success. Silence is crucial because it is solely within this quiet that certain key mental processes can unfold. In silence, you can connect disparate ideas to foster innovation. In silence, you can contemplate your true priorities rather than merely reacting to what appears urgent. In silence, you can hear your inner wisdom as opposed to continuously ingesting the views of others. The distractions of modern life aim to strip you of your most valuable asset, your capacity to think clearly and make decisive actions. Do not yield this power without a fight. Safeguard silence as the invaluable resource it truly is. For in a world that often prioritizes noise over quietness, mastering the art of silence has become an exceptional edge in competition. Embrace silence deliberately and observe how your clarity of thought, decision-making abilities, and ultimately your outcomes begin to distinguish you from the noisy, distracted crowd. Taking a moment to observe before taking action is essential. Have you ever noticed that the most accomplished individuals rarely disclose their thoughts right away? They observe, they pause, they take in their surroundings, and then they proceed with precision and effectiveness. This is intentional. It's silence employed as a tactic, and it represents one of the most formidable strategies you can integrate into your pursuit of success. Whenever you find yourself in a new environment, be it a business deal, a social event, or the start of a new job, there's tremendous pressure to demonstrate your worth instantaneously, to vocalize your insights, to showcase your expertise. Yet this instinct, although understandable, often results in hasty actions driven by incomplete knowledge. Utilizing silence as a strategy allows you to gather vital information before making your decisions. Think of a chess master who examines the board carefully before moving a piece, or a savvy negotiator who listens first, unveiling critical information about the other party's stance. This form of strategic silence is not about passivity. It is a proactive gathering of insights that leads to more informed actions. The renowned military strategist Sun Tzu grasped this principle well when he noted that all warfare relies on deception. By withholding your plans while attentively observing your competitors, you secure a significant tactical advantage. This same concept is applicable across business, personal growth, and nearly any competitive landscape. Mahatma Gandhi, although renowned for his influential presence, often maintained silence during pivotal discussions, speaking only when absolutely necessary and with meticulously chosen words. This tactical employment of silence heightened the significance of his remarks whenever he opted to speak. So, how can you incorporate this tactic into your daily life? Begin by adopting an anthropologist's mindset when you encounter new environments. Take note of cultural behaviors, power relations, and implicit guidelines before putting forth your own ideas. In discussions, aim to position yourself as the second or third speaker rather than the first, enabling you to enhance others' thoughts with a deeper context. During negotiations, resist the instinct to fill uncomfortable pauses. Typically, the individual who speaks first after a silence relinquishes valuable ground. Cultivate a comfort with these quiet intervals, using them to gauge responses and gather insights. The principle of silence similarly extends to how you manage your achievements and aspirations. As you pursue significant goals, there's often societal pressure to proclaim your intentions publicly. However, studies consistently indicate that discussing your plans can create a false sense of accomplishment, diminishing the likelihood of following through with the necessary effort to reach them. The most resolute achievers tend to work quietly, allowing their achievements to speak for themselves when the moment is appropriate. Embracing strategic silence provides you the opportunity to notice patterns that others overlook, uncover opportunities that remain hidden from those too engaged in conversation, and act from a place of superior knowledge at the right moment. It can shift you from a mere reactive participant to a strategic player who influences situations rather than simply responding to them. Adopt silence as your strategy. Observe more, seek with less urgency, and gather insights before you make your move. When you do take action, do it backed by a comprehensive understanding. This connection between silence and self-mastery raises an intriguing question. Have you ever pondered why the truly exceptional masters in any field exhibit a remarkable level of composure? There exists a deep linkage between silence and personal mastery that has been acknowledged by successful individuals throughout history. When you start to welcome silence, you embark on the path towards self-mastery. Achieving self-mastery is fundamental to mastering any other area in life. The journey to self-mastery commences with self-awareness, and true self-awareness only arises in silence. It is during those tranquil moments, without the pressure to perform for others or the influence of external distractions, that you can genuinely perceive yourself as you are, your strengths and weaknesses, your heartfelt desires and fears, your true voice. These elements reveal themselves not in the clamor of social exchanges, but in the quietude of sincere self-reflection. Reflect on how challenging it can be to hear your own thoughts amid the constant influx of others' opinions. The tendency to surround yourself with external noise overwhelms the subtle whispers of your inner wisdom. Yet, when you carve out moments for silence, you start to differentiate between the thoughts that genuinely belong to you and those you've merely absorbed from your surroundings. This clarity is crucial for genuine achievement. Notably, the eminent industrialist Andrew Carnegie dedicated time each day for silence and contemplation, attributing many of his key business insights to this practice. He recognized that the needed clarity for significant decisions could not arise in the midst of relentless conversation and activity. Furthermore, the connection between silence and self-mastery goes beyond mere clarity of thought. It encompasses emotional regulation, arguably the most vital skill for sustained success in any pursuit. By sitting in silence, you train yourself to be present with your emotions and thoughts without instant reactions. Consider how rapidly many individuals respond when faced with criticism, often feeling an urge to defend themselves, justify their actions, or retaliate. Yet what if you chose to respond to criticism with a moment of silence instead? This interval, this brief moment between stimulus and reaction, is where your true strength resides. It is within this quietude that you have the opportunity to select your response instead of being compelled by instinctive reactions. So how can you cultivate this link between silence and self-mastery in your daily life? Start by designating set times for solitude, moments when you're entirely cut off from outside influences. No music, no discussions, just you and your thoughts. While this practice may feel awkward initially, it steadily enhances your ability for profound self-awareness. Next, embrace the pause, the intentional introduction of silence before addressing challenging situations. When confronted with provocation, condition yourself to take 3 deep breaths prior to speaking. This straightforward habit creates the necessary space for your higher faculties to engage, preventing your primal instincts from dictating impulsive behavior. The pinnacle expression of this connection is the capacity to sustain inner tranquility even in the midst of external turmoil. This does not equate to being unresponsive. Rather, it signifies that your reactions come from a state of centered awareness rather than impulsive reflexes. Once you reach this level of self-mastery, you become nearly invincible since your actions are no longer governed by circumstances. They are aligned with your true purpose. The bond between silence and self-mastery fosters a powerful upward trajectory. As you embrace silence, you cultivate greater self-mastery. As your self-mastery grows, you find increasing comfort in silence. This virtuous cycle continues, progressively distinguishing you from those who are still governed by external stimuli and internal urges. Accept silence as the gateway to self-mastery. In a world full of reactive individuals, strive to be the one who responds thoughtfully. In a culture of impulsiveness, practice intentional action. Let silence be the crucible in which you forge your unwavering character. Here, the quiet mind uncovers opportunities. Have you ever found that your most brilliant ideas come when you're in the shower, taking a stroll, or simply sitting in silence? This isn't by chance. There exists a clear connection between nurturing a tranquil mind and uncovering remarkable opportunities that others may overlook entirely. In today's fast-paced environment, why do some individuals continuously spot opportunities while others remain oblivious? The key isn't merely access to information, it's the capability to interpret that information in innovative manners. This occurs mainly in moments of calmness. When your mind is filled with constant chatter, whether from external stimuli or your own unending internal dialogue, you're functioning in what psychology refers to as narrow focus mode. Although this state excels in task execution, it severely limits your ability to connect diverse ideas or recognize subtle trends. Conversely, a quiet mind engages diffuse thinking, a state of relaxation where your brain forges unexpected links and produces insights beyond the reach of logical reasoning. Albert Einstein once stated that words and language had minimal influence on his thinking process. Instead, he depended on visuals, emotions, and musical rhythms, enabling ideas to manifest in visual and physical formats before articulating them in conventional terms. This method necessitated lengthy periods of meditative silence, which might appear to an outsider as inactivity. So how can you nurture the quiet mind that reveals overlooked opportunities? First, acknowledge that recognizing opportunities requires a different mental state than executing them. While execution thrives on concentration and urgency, discovery flourishes in a relaxed state of awareness. Dedicate specific times in your day where you're not attempting to achieve anything particular. Allow space for your thoughts to roam and forge unexpected connections. Embrace what Eastern philosophies refer to as mindfulness, the practice of being entirely present without judgment. This process is not about clearing your mind completely, but rather about calming the continuous assessment and classification that typically fills your thoughts. When you observe without rushing to analyze, you start to perceive nuances and connections that your critical faculties usually overlook. Design your physical surroundings to encourage mental tranquility. The relentless distractions of visual clutter and background noise strain your brain's ability to process information, diminishing your capacity for recognizing the subtle patterns that indicate potential opportunities. Employ strategic, incomplete tasks to engage your quiet mind. While tackling a complex issue, make a conscious effort to step away before reaching a conclusion. Whether it's taking a walk, enjoying a shower, or simply sitting in silence, your subconscious continues to ponder the issue and often presents solutions when you least expect them. A tranquil mind unveils opportunities by transcending the noise of conventional thinking. When everyone is focused on the same narrative, discussing similar trends, and pursuing the same visible chances, the genuine breakthroughs lie in uncharted territory. They reside in the gaps between established categories, within unasked questions, and in challenges that others have deemed unsolvable. Nurture your quiet mind as your foremost competitive edge. In an era increasingly dominated by automated routine cognition, the value placed on creative insights and fresh connections will only amplify. The opportunities of the future will be identified not by those who digest information at lightning speed, but by those who can recognize the patterns that manifest only in stillness. Cultivating inner fortitude through intentional silence. Have you observed that truly resilient individuals seldom feel compelled to proclaim their strength? They do not flaunt, they do not brag, they carry themselves with a composed confidence that communicates much. This inner fortitude is not cultivated through constant self aggrandizement. It manifests through intentional silence, a discipline that fosters mental and emotional resilience in ways that few other practices can match. When individuals encounter discomforting emotions such as anxiety, uncertainty, or frustration, their instinctual response is often to evade that discomfort through distraction. They might switch on the television, reach out to a friend, or seek other methods to fill the quiet. Yet, in doing this, they deprive themselves of the crucial experiences necessary for cultivating inner strength. Intentional silence involves nurturing the ability to sit with discomfort without incessantly seeking escape. It's about honing the skill to confront uncertainty without desiring immediate solutions. It's about enhancing the emotional resilience that empowers you to navigate life's inevitable hurdles with grace and determination. Reflect on the experience of being alone with your thoughts and feelings, free from distractions that might soften their impact. Initially, it can be quite daunting. Your thoughts may surge and uncomfortable feelings may rise. However, if you commit to this process, practicing intentional silence, an incredible transformation begins to unfold. You acquire what psychologists term emotional non-reactivity, the capability to feel intense emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Strive to maintain silence in scenarios where you would typically feel compelled to fill the space with speech. When faced with criticism, fight the impulse to instantly defend yourself. In moments of praise, resist the urge to elaborate on your achievements. When confronted with a challenge, avoid the immediate need to vocalize it to others. These minor acts of verbal restraint gradually enhance your ability for emotional self-regulation. The practice of intentional silence also cultivates your capacity to tolerate uncertainty, enabling you to operate effectively even in the absence of complete answers, or when the way ahead is somewhat unclear. Such tolerance is vital for both leadership and innovation, which inherently demand a comfort with ambiguity. Perhaps most crucially, maintaining a disciplined silence fosters the internal resilience needed to stand on your own when required. In a society that applies immense pressure to fit in, to follow trends, and to mirror popular opinions, the skill to remain centered in quietude empowers you to adhere to your beliefs, even when they differ from prevalent views. Vince Lombardi, the famed football coach, exemplified this ability by cultivating a disciplined silence at key moments, carefully assessing his players and circumstances before making pivotal decisions. This inner resilience enabled him to opt for unpopular yet sound choices that eventually resulted in remarkable success. Cultivate your inner strength with disciplined silence. Learn to be at ease with silence around you. Build the courage to confront your inner thoughts without hesitation. It is only after nurturing this inner strength that your external actions will wield the true power to transform both your life and the environment around you. Prioritize action over mere words. Have you ever come across someone who incessantly talks about their plans? They boast about grand aspirations and elaborate goals, endlessly elaborating on their future success. Yet, as months and years elapse, those same people remain exactly where they began, full of words but devoid of tangible results. In contrast, there exist those exceptional individuals who speak little about their dreams, yet consistently engage in actions that propel them forward. These are the silent achievers who grasp a vital truth. Genuine power resides in action rather than in speech. The world is replete with talkers, but accomplishment belongs to those who take action. When you concentrate your efforts on taking consistent steps instead of merely discussing your intentions, you create momentum that words alone cannot produce. This quiet approach to achievement serves you in various ways, notably by guarding your ambitions against the subtle undermining that often arises from sharing too soon. Psychological studies have repeatedly indicated that discussing your ambitions can instill an early feeling of accomplishment. When you gain social recognition for voicing your plans, your brain perceives it as a reward akin to having actually completed the task. This misleading sense of forward motion decreases your drive to engage in the hard work necessary for real success. So, how can you become a quiet achiever in your life? Begin with a straightforward principle. For each goal you establish, take at least one concrete step before sharing it with anyone. This first action generates real momentum and evaluates your dedication beyond mere conversation. Subsequently, shift your attention from input to output. Rather than gauging your days by the number of meetings attended or discussions had, evaluate them based on tangible outcomes achieved. At the close of each day, ask yourself, what did I genuinely create or accomplish today? This results-oriented mindset naturally curbs idle chatter and encourages productive actions. Learn to find fulfillment in the doing instead of merely talking about doing. When you derive your sense of progress and achievement from genuine actions rather than from others' responses to your declared intentions, you liberate yourself from the need for external approval. A silent achiever recognizes that energy follows where focus is directed. When you concentrate on discussing your goals, you channel energy into verbalizing rather than executing. By keeping your intentions private, you inherently redirect that energy into the actions that lead to outcomes. Become a silent achiever in your life. Allow others to speak while you take action. Let them announce while you progress. While they chase attention, pursue results. Because when all is said and done, and often there's more talk than action, it is your deeds, not your words, that will define your legacy, crafting your silent mastermind alliance. Have you ever thought about why some people advance their success so much faster than others who possess similar skills? Frequently, the distinction isn't in their talents, but rather in the caliber of their connections. The most accomplished individuals across various fields have honed the ability to form what could be termed a silent mastermind alliance. This is a thoughtfully curated group of people who collectively enhance each other's ideas, performance, and outcomes. Unlike typical networking or casual associations, a genuine mastermind alliance signifies a collaboration among minds committed to a shared objective, where the combined knowledge and energy of the group forge a force far more potent than any one person could generate alone. These alliances often function with a certain discreetness, subtly boosting each participant's potential for success without showcasing their influence. The rationale behind this intriguing phenomenon is both straightforward and deep. Thoughts are tangible. They possess energy. When two or more minds align harmoniously toward a clear goal, they forge a third, more powerful entity. This third mind arises from the group and cannot be solely attributed to one individual. For instance, Walt Disney and his brother Roy built one of history's premier entertainment giants. Walt's imaginative insights, paired with Roy's financial expertise, resulted in achievements neither could have realized alone. Their partnership, largely maintained away from the public eye, exemplifies the strength of complementary minds collaborating harmoniously toward shared goals. So how can you establish your own silent mastermind alliance? Start by pinpointing particular values and skills that will enhance your strengths and offset your weaknesses. In contrast to superficial networking, which typically emphasizes the number of connections made, the mastermind principle prioritizes the quality and alignment of intent. Look for individuals who not only have the expertise or knowledge you may lack, but also embody the character traits essential for success: integrity, persistence, courage, and disciplined thought. It's important to remember that a genuine mastermind alliance thrives on a shared purpose, and this unity is unattainable if your core values are at odds with those of your potential collaborators. Once you've pinpointed possible alliance members, approach them with a clear understanding of the mutual advantages that such a partnership would foster. The strongest alliances are fundamentally rooted in reciprocity. Each member gives and receives value from the relationship. Clearly articulate what contributions you can offer and what specific attributes or skills you wish to gain from them. Organize your mastermind gatherings around concrete challenges and opportunities rather than broad topics. Arrive equipped with well-defined questions or issues where group thinking can yield superior outcomes. Keep your discussions centered on actionable insights rather than theoretical concepts. Emphasize the importance of contributing before seeking to extract value. In each engagement with your alliance members, focus first on how you can enhance their thinking or efforts. This generous attitude fosters a culture of reciprocity that amplifies the alliance's effectiveness. It's crucial to remember that authentic mastermind alliances operate in a certain silence, not secrecy, but rather a priority on substance over spectacle. While others may flaunt their networking abilities or drop significant names, you'll be quietly harnessing the collective wisdom of your alliance to tackle challenges and capitalize on opportunities that remain unseen by the masses. The quiet nature of these alliances does not imply a lack of enthusiasm or passion. On the contrary, it signifies that energy is directed towards meaningful accomplishments instead of social display or self-promotion. The strength of the alliance is reflected in outcomes, not mere words. Form your silent mastermind alliance with purpose and consideration. Build connections with individuals who enhance your thought process and push your limits. Generously support their success while also benefiting from their insights and assistance. In this harmonious convergence of minds, you will uncover a powerful source that amplifies your ability to achieve far beyond what you could do solo. For transforming silence into impactful action. Have you ever observed how certain individuals seem to operate with incredible precision and influence? They make choices that others struggle to understand until much later. These are not simply fortunate hunches or spontaneous decisions. They are the result of a process that starts in silence and ends in powerful action. Mastering the ability to turn quiet moments for reflection into impactful, decisive steps is one of the most crucial skills you can cultivate on your journey to success. Many individuals mistakenly assume that action and silence are in opposition. They're not. They are sequential elements of a singular process. Silence, viewed as a time for observation, contemplation, and strategizing, is a vital precursor to taking truly effective action. Without this foundation of silence, actions merely become reactions, impulsive, disorganized, and ultimately ineffective. The most significant milestones in human history have adhered to this sequence, phases of seemingly idle observation and contemplation, succeeded by sharp, impactful action at the most advantageous juncture. This interplay of silence and action produces results that seem almost enchanting to those who lack understanding of the underlying process. General George Patton exemplified this approach when he devised his military strategies prior to executing his renowned rapid offensives across Europe during World War II. He dedicated extensive time to examining terrain maps, assessing enemy behaviors, and envisioning multiple scenarios. This quiet preparation allowed his troops to act swiftly and accurately, surprising both allies and adversaries. So, how can you turn your own silence into effective action? Start by acknowledging that high-quality thinking necessitates uninterrupted time. Set aside regular blocks in your calendar exclusively for contemplating your most significant goals and obstacles. Safeguard these intervals with the same rigor as you would any essential meeting or deadline. During these moments of silence, engage in structured thought. Pose pointed questions to yourself. What is the real issue or opportunity at hand? What information am I lacking? What assumptions am I making that could be incorrect? What would the ideal outcome entail? What are the essential steps needed to achieve that outcome? Document your thoughts. Writing down your ideas fosters enhanced clarity and highlights logical inconsistencies that could be overlooked in mere mental reflection. Thomas Edison kept comprehensive notebooks that recorded his thought process, which helped him refine his ideas over time and avoid repeating ineffective methods. Seek out what the Japanese refer to as sati, moments of clarity where complex issues simplify into fundamental principles. These enlightening revelations typically don't surface while actively grappling with the issue. They arise when the mind is permitted to reflect in silence, often during seemingly unrelated tasks. After gaining clarity from your moments of stillness, get ready for decisive action by pinpointing your trigger point, the specific condition or moment that signals your shift from contemplation to execution. This established trigger prevents overthinking and ensures you capitalize on the best timing for action. When it's time to act, proceed with complete dedication. Half-hearted execution can compromise even the most brilliant strategies. The quality of your actions should be as intentional as your moments of silence. This comprehensive strategy generates momentum that propels you through unavoidable challenges. Create a feedback mechanism that allows you to return to states of contemplation following impactful actions. Take time to ponder what succeeded, what fell short, and the insights you've gained. This rhythmic dance between silence and action, thought and execution, fosters a continuous cycle of improving outcomes. Take the example of Roger Bannister, who shattered the seemingly unbreakable 4-minute mile barrier. He seamlessly alternated between rigorous training and meticulous evaluation of his performance. This measured method enabled him to systematically refine his running style, achieving what many deemed beyond human capability. Channel your silence into purposeful action. Approach your moments of quiet reflection with the same discipline as your bursts of vigorous activity. Understand that your actions can never surpass the quality of the thinking that precedes them. When silence is harmoniously intertwined with action, they form a powerful catalyst that propels dreams into reality with impressive effectiveness. Consider your journey toward greatness. Have you ever thought about how the most transformative changes often begin quietly within the mind of an individual, rather than through grand statements or public protests? They initiate in the stillness of one person who chooses to think and act in a way that diverges from the majority. This embodies the essence of the quiet revolution, a personal metamorphosis that reshapes everything without making noise until the outcomes are too significant to overlook. We find ourselves in a society that values noise, rewarding the loudest voices, most shocking remarks, and most theatrical actions. Yet true greatness seldom arises from such noise. Instead, it emerges through a silent revolution inside, a methodical application of principles that eventually, though gradually, yields extraordinary outcomes. This silent transformation commences with a pivotal change in mindset, shifting from seeking approval from the outside world to striving for personal excellence within. When you cease to worry about how others view your efforts and concentrate solely on enhancing the quality of those efforts, you spark a change that can redefine every facet of your existence. Take Abraham Lincoln, for instance. Before he assumed the presidency, he spent many years in a lesser-known phase of his life, dedicating himself to learning through extensive reading and writing. He did not broadcast his aspirations to the public. Instead, he quietly honed his skills through persistent improvement. By the time opportunity knocked, he was ready, having developed his potential through this internal shift. So, how do you start your own silent revolution? Begin by assessing where your energy is currently directed. How much of your effort is spent on making impressions instead of building substance? How frequently do you talk about your future accomplishments instead of taking actual steps to achieve them? This candid evaluation serves as the foundation from which your revolution can expand. Following this, embrace the silence-action ratio. For each hour spent talking about your goals or successes, devote at least 10 hours to focused, silent work aimed at those goals. This straightforward practice shifts your energy focus from expressing thoughts to creating outcomes, from being visible to being productive. Cultivate what could be termed quiet confidence, a steadfast assurance in yourself that stems not from the approval of others, but from your unwavering adherence to high standards. This self-assurance reduces the dependency on external validation that often leads to unproductive behaviors. Embrace the discipline of personal accountability, setting standards that surpass what others might expect of you. This involves doing what's right even when no one is observing, striving for excellence when mediocrity might be accepted, and continuing to grow even after you have outpaced those around you. Embrace what could be termed stealth achievement, where you accomplish meaningful milestones without attracting attention. Instead of pausing to bask in each victory, let each success serve as a launch pad for the next endeavor. This relentless forward momentum fosters compounding growth that ultimately yields remarkable outcomes. Keep in mind that your quiet transformation isn't about withdrawing from society. It's about engaging with the world from a place of calm confidence rather than loud insecurity. It's about offering real value in a world too often satisfied with surface-level symbols. It's about making a sustainable impact rather than leaving a fleeting impression. The most successful figures throughout history grasped this concept. Their transformations started quietly within, later reshaping their fields and, in some cases, the world at large. They did not seek to be noisy, they aimed to create change. By doing so, they uncovered the route to authentic greatness. Start your quiet revolution today. Speak less, act more. Cultivate your potential in silence. Allow your achievements to speak for themselves. For within this seemingly straightforward shift lies the power to not only alter your outcomes, but also redefine your very self. This is your route to greatness, not through grand proclamations or public displays, but through the steady, quiet implementation of transformative principles that distinguish the extraordinary from the merely mediocre. Your quiet revolution begins now. The only question remains, do you have the bravery to accept it? Influence without noise. Have you ever noticed how certain leaders command the room effortlessly without raising their voices? They don't force attention, they naturally draw it in through their presence and the gravity of their carefully articulated words. This embodies the essence of silent leadership, a compelling way to influence that depends not on volume or frequency of communication, but on its quality and timing. In a world that often associates leadership with being seen and heard, the quiet leader distinguishes themselves. These individuals recognize that genuine influence arises not from dominating conversations, but from speaking thoughtfully, actively listening, and acting with steadfast conviction. They have the ability to foster creativity. Their strength lies not in the frequency of their speech, but in the depth of their message when they do choose to speak. By embracing silent leadership, they create an environment where others feel empowered to share, innovate, and enhance their own skills. When a leader refrains from consistently using their voice, team members are more inclined to step up, contribute ideas, and take initiatives that fortify the organization as a whole. This method amplifies leadership rather than concentrating it. So, how can you cultivate this skill of silent leadership? Start by mastering purposeful communication. Before you speak in any context, consider 3 essential questions. Is this necessary? Is this beneficial? Is it the right moment? This straightforward filter will quickly set your communication apart from those who speak impulsively and without specific intention. Hone what could be termed leadership listening, the intentional use of silence to allow others to express their thoughts and concerns. By doing this regularly, you gain insights and information that often elude leaders who dominate discussions, all while fostering trust and engagement. Build the bravery to be succinct. In an age overwhelmed with information, being concise is not merely polite, it's a vital leadership skill. The capability to condense complex matters into clear and direct guidance sets the quiet leader apart from those who rely on verbosity and obscurity. When you talk less, each word holds greater significance. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, although initially timid, emerged as one of the most significant individuals of her era, not through grandiloquent speeches, but via steadfast determination and principled actions. Her role in the creation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights illustrated that enduring influence stems from moral authority rather than mere verbal prowess. Master the art of utilizing silence thoughtfully during conversations and negotiations. A strategically placed pause can create an opportunity for reflection, highlight the significance of your previous statement, or help ease existing tensions. The mindful application of silence frequently achieves what additional words cannot. Embrace the understanding that a strong leadership presence doesn't necessitate constant visibility. Often the most impactful leaders are felt even in their absence through the systems they've established, the cultures they've cultivated, and the individuals they've nurtured. This enduring influence, rather than fleeting impact, is the genuine indicator of effective leadership. Cultivate your ability to lead quietly, speak with intention, listen earnestly, and act with resolve. Allow opportunities for others to flourish. Set an example as a leader instead of merely directing with words. In doing so, you'll realize that authentic influence is rooted not in how loudly you speak, but in the integrity of your character and the wisdom of your carefully selected words, favoring thoughtful responses over impulsive reactions. Have you ever felt regret over a hasty reply? Uttered something in a moment of anger that you later wished to retract? Undoubtedly you have. We all have. But have you ever regretted taking a moment to think before responding? Likely not. This simple observation reveals a significant truth. The space between stimulus and response holds your strength. Expanding this space could be the most crucial skill for personal and professional success. When you respond immediately to a situation, your reactions stem from your limbic system, the emotional hub of your brain that governs fight or flight responses. These quick reactions often arise from past conditioning and tend to mirror feelings of fear, insecurity, or subconscious biases rather than reflect your most rational thought processes. However, if you introduce a moment of pause between the trigger and your response, you engage your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for advanced thinking, allowing for wisdom, perspective, and intentional choices in your actions. So, how can you cultivate this ability for intentional response in your daily life? Start with the fundamental physical aspect, your breathing. When confronted with a triggering event, take 3 deep breaths before reacting or speaking. This brief interruption breaks the cycle of automatic responses, creating room for more thoughtful consideration. It's so straightforward that many people tend to overlook it, yet it's astonishingly effective in altering your mental state. Implement the 24-hour rule for key decisions or communications, particularly those with emotional elements. If immediate action isn't crucial, take at least 24 hours to think things through before engaging with provocative situations. This delay allows your emotional reactions to calm down and facilitates a more balanced view. Florence Nightingale transformed healthcare through her systematic, data-informed approach during the Crimean War. Instead of responding with emotion to the desperate conditions she witnessed, she recorded and analyzed the underlying causes and put into place systematic solutions. Her measured response saved countless lives and revolutionized medical practices globally. Enhance the effectiveness of your responses by practicing perspective shifting. In challenging situations, intentionally analyze it from various angles. How might the other individual perceive this? How relevant will this be in 5 years? What would the wisest mentor in your life suggest? These inquiries broaden your perspective, moving you from immediate reactions to a deeper comprehension. Establish response strategies for situations that tend to trigger predictable reactions. Similar to how emergency responders have set protocols for handling crises, you can formulate personal guidelines for circumstances that usually prompt impulsive behavior. These pre-established rules offer a framework for considered action even amidst heightened emotions. It's essential to remember that a thoughtful response isn't about repressing genuine feelings, but rather about articulating them in ways that align with rather than undermine your true intentions. The objective is not emotional numbness, but rather emotional awareness, utilizing feelings as informative metrics instead of allowing them to govern your responses. Foster the practice of thoughtful reactions in your life. Increase the interval between a stimulus and your response. Swap hasty reactions for intentional actions. For it is in this interval, the critical moment between what occurs and how you respond, that you find the freedom to choose your direction and the authority to shape your outcomes. Is mastering the art of strategic patience truly that complex? Perhaps not. Yet in a society fixated on swift results, the ability to wait strategically, being disciplined enough to seize the right moment, has become an increasingly rare and valuable talent. This is not about inactive waiting or simple procrastination. It involves intentionally aligning actions with optimal timing, often distinguishing between remarkable success and disheartening failure. Many individuals significantly underestimate the influence of timing when it comes to achievement. They hastily pursue their objectives with intense urgency, failing to recognize that forced timing frequently yields incomplete outcomes or unnecessary obstacles. Conversely, those who excel understand that certain results necessitate their own pace and cannot be rushed. They evolve in accordance with their inherent rhythm, and efforts to expedite them can ironically postpone their eventual manifestation. Strategic patience entails identifying which segments of your goals necessitate immediate action and which require careful observation. It involves differentiating between the elements you can directly influence and those that need to evolve through processes you can affect but not control. This understanding distinguishes the truly successful from those who drain their energy through misplaced intensity. So how can you cultivate this skill of strategic patience in your endeavors? Start by differentiating between mere activity and actual progress. Frequently, the illusion of movement, busyness, constant updates, relentless action can mask a lack of true advancement towards meaningful results. Train yourself to assess outcomes rather than effort, substance over superficiality. Delve into the natural pacing of your field or sector. Every area has its specific tempo, with times when progress is achievable and times when consolidation is essential. By synchronizing your efforts with these inherent cycles instead of resisting them, you enhance your effectiveness while minimizing unnecessary struggle. Embrace what might be termed strategic invisibility, the readiness to labor without recognition or praise during preparatory stages. Numerous potentially significant achievements are thwarted by premature exposure when creators seek approval before their work is robust enough to endure scrutiny. The ability to remain patient during these developmental stages often determines ultimate success. The banking innovator A.P. Giannini, who established the Bank of America, exemplified remarkable strategic patience following the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. While other banks kept their doors shut, he promptly operated on the street, extending loans based on trust to aid in the city's reconstruction. This commitment to nurturing long-term relationships instead of prioritizing quick profits fostered a foundation of trust that contributed to the establishment of one of the world's largest financial institutions. Embrace the comfort of incremental progress. The most lasting accomplishments often arise not from sudden breakthroughs, but from the gradual accumulation of minor improvements. Although each step may appear trivial on its own, together they generate momentum that ultimately becomes unstoppable. Keep in mind that strategic patience is not a passive state. It's a stage of preparation. During times when it feels like you're just waiting, concentrate on enhancing your skills, amassing resources, and setting the groundwork that will maximize your effectiveness when it's time to take decisive action. This productive patience fosters a state of readiness that the rush of impulsive urgency cannot replicate. Foster the practice of strategic patience in both your personal and professional life. Identify which objectives necessitate immediate action and which require careful timing. Differentiate between the genuine urgency of time-sensitive matters and the artificial urgency born from impatience. For in mastering this nuanced equilibrium of knowing when to act and when to pause, you unveil a facet of achievement that remains obscured to those solely motivated by the delusion of immediate urgency. The value of deep work in today's world. Have you ever concluded a hectic day feeling drained yet oddly unfulfilled, as if you were busy all day without achieving anything of substance? This frequent experience highlights one of our era's major challenges, the growing difficulty of engaging in deep, focused work in a society designed for ceaseless distractions. The ability to maintain concentration on challenging tasks, what we refer to as deep work, has become increasingly rare even as it gains significance. With routine tasks being progressively automated, the capability to master complex skills, tackle challenging problems, and innovate has emerged as the key source of competitive advantage for both individuals and organizations. Inventor Alexander Graham Bell, although living in a significantly slower paced time, understood the importance of uninterrupted focus and reserved a dedicated workspace to concentrate without interruptions. This safeguarded environment allowed him to not only invent the telephone, but also to conceive a plethora of other breakthroughs that revolutionized modern communication. So, how can you take back the power of deep work in your personal life? First, acknowledge that sheer willpower isn't enough. The distractions vying for your sustained attention are too potent to be countered simply by self-discipline. You need to reshape your surroundings to foster, rather than hinder, focused endeavors. Juan Trippe, the aircraft mogul who transformed Pan American Airways into the premier airline worldwide, adhered to a straightforward daily routine despite his numerous responsibilities. Mornings were dedicated to profound strategic contemplation about the airline's trajectory, shielded from the pressing yet less critical operational tasks that he tackled in the afternoons. This structured cycle of intense focus, followed by managed availability, enabled him to simultaneously nurture a long-term vision while ensuring operational proficiency. Establish routines that signal to your mind it's time to engage deeply. Whether it's making a certain type of tea, organizing your workspace in a particular manner, or starting with a brief meditation, these signals assist your brain in switching from scattered thinking to concentrated focus. Over time, the ritual itself can evoke the mental state necessary for deep work. Keep in mind that deep work is a skill to be honed, not merely a preference or an inherent trait. Like any ability, it diminishes without practice and enhances with regular training. Start with brief intervals of concentrated focus, perhaps just 30 minutes, and slowly increase your ability for prolonged attention through consistent practice. Nurture the practice of deep work in your life. Establish an environment conducive to sustained focus. Remove the distractions that disturb your concentration. Cultivate habits that stimulate your ability to engage deeply. In an era increasingly marked by superficial activities and divided attention, the skills to delve deeply, to concentrate intensely on formidable challenges and worthwhile opportunities have become not only beneficial but crucial for achieving meaningful success. Think legacy over fame. Have you ever observed the contrast between those who pursue fame and those who create a legacy? The former are in search of immediate acknowledgement, perpetual validation, and public admiration. The latter concentrate on making a lasting impact, nurturing others, and constructing something that persists well beyond their lifetime. This distinction highlights the choice between the clamorous chase for temporary visibility and the quiet endeavor to build lasting significance, which shapes how you navigate your life and career. Fame can be alluring because it offers swift rewards, attention, excitement, and a sense of importance. However, these rewards are both ephemeral and ultimately unfulfilling. Once celebrities are quickly forgotten, and last year's trending topic becomes trivial info today. More critically, fame does not fulfill the deeper human need for purpose and significance, a feeling that your life has contributed something meaningful that will endure beyond your existence. In contrast, legacy emphasizes not being known, but fostering knowledge, developing ideas, systems, organizations, or people that will continue to provide value long after you are no longer present. This focus on creating lasting impact instead of immediate recognition alters not only your results, but also your overall approach to achievement. George Washington C.P. Peale, the English portrait artist, exemplified this in his work. Instead of hurrying to produce as many paintings as possible for quick income and acknowledgement, he carefully created each portrait to reflect not just the outward appearance, but also the intrinsic character. This commitment to quality over speed resulted in masterpieces that continue to resonate through the ages, establishing a heritage that far surpasses the renown he experienced in his lifetime. So how can you transition from chasing fame to cultivating a legacy in your own life and career? Start by broadening your time perspective. When making choices, consider not just, how does this benefit me right now, but also, what impact will this have in 20 years? This subtle change in viewpoint naturally aligns your decisions with more lasting values and results. Recognize the avenues of influence that persist beyond your immediate engagement. While tangible assets can wear down, knowledge accumulates. Physical resources may dwindle, but wisdom grows. Personal accomplishments have their limits. Conversely, empowering others fosters exponential expansion. By directing your efforts towards these legacy-building endeavors, you create something that continues to develop even in your absence. Embrace what could be termed cathedral thinking. This involves the commitment to support initiatives that may not see completion within your lifetime. The medieval architects who initiated the grand cathedrals of Europe understood they would never witness the final result. Nevertheless, their dedication to a vision larger than their personal recognition facilitated the construction of lasting testaments to human aspiration and skill. Cultivate what might be referred to as succession consciousness. This entails intentionally nurturing others who will continue your work. Individuals focused on legacy don't tightly hold onto their knowledge or status. Instead, they proactively mentor those who will eventually excel beyond them. This amplification of impact through others significantly broadens both the reach and longevity of your contributions. Remember that a true legacy is not forged through grand acts or theatrical moments, but is established by consistently applying your values and principles in your everyday decisions. The cumulative result of these choices, how you treat others, the excellence you bring to your tasks, the priorities you demonstrate through actions rather than mere words, forms the ultimate gauge of your influence. Opt for legacy over fame in your personal life and professional endeavors. Concentrate on generating value that endures beyond accolades. Focus on nurturing people instead of merely impressing them. Create systems and organizations that reflect your vision and core values. Ultimately, the quality of your significance will surpass the quantity of your fame, and the influence you produce will hold more weight than the spotlight you attract. This brings us to the discipline of focused elimination. Have you ever observed that the most successful people often seem to do less instead of more? This is not a coincidence. It's a calculated strategy. In a society that constantly champions addition, more tasks, more goals, more possessions, more connections, true achievers adopt the opposite tactic, the discipline of focused elimination. Most individuals pursue success through accumulation, perpetually looking for more information, more opportunities, and more relationships. This approach, however, often leads to drained energy, scattered focus, and ultimately, subpar results. Genuine excellence demands not expansion but contraction, the intentional removal of everything that does not directly support your most vital objectives. This discipline is not simply about declining distractions, although that's certainly part of it. It demands the bravery to turn down good opportunities so you can embrace great ones. It involves recognizing that in a realm of infinite possibilities, what you opt not to pursue is as crucial as what you choose to engage in. Benjamin Franklin had a wide range of interests, including politics, science, publishing, and invention. However, he didn't attempt to juggle them all at once. He concentrated on nurturing one virtue at a time, acknowledging that trying to enhance all at once would inhibit effective development in any of them. This methodical approach to self-betterment allowed him to leave a lasting impact across various disciplines throughout his life. So, how can you apply this discipline to your own life? Start with what might be referred to as an elimination audit. This involves a thorough assessment of everything that currently occupies your time, energy, and focus. For each task, relationship, or obligation, ask yourself, does this directly align with my top priorities? If the answer is no, create a strategy to eliminate it, delegate it, or significantly reduce its demand on your resources. Embrace the practice of strategic abandonment, which is the intentional choice to cease activities that once benefited you but no longer contribute to your most critical objectives. This isn't about giving up at the first challenge. Rather, it's about recognizing when continued effort in a certain direction produces diminishing returns compared to other potential uses of your limited resources. Adopt zero-based thinking in your approach to ongoing commitments and tasks. Frequently ask yourself, given what I know now, would I decide to engage in this activity if I hadn't already been involved? This mindset helps you overcome the sunk cost fallacy and allows you to let go of pursuits that no longer warrant your ongoing commitment. Develop what could be termed decision filters, clear guidelines that automatically dismiss choices not aligned with your core values and primary objectives. These pre-established criteria help to avoid decision fatigue and ensure that your finite attention is directed only towards options that are truly important to your most significant goals. Keep in mind that the discipline of focused elimination applies not just to actions, but also to thoughts and emotions. The mental energy squandered on anxiety, resentment, needless comparisons, and other non-productive thought patterns siphons off the resources necessary for exceptional success. By removing these internal distractions, you may achieve even more significant benefits than by addressing external ones. Cultivate the discipline of focused removal in both your personal and professional life. Instead of adding, prioritize subtracting. Instead of multiplying, aim to simplify. Instead of diversifying, strive to concentrate. In a society that celebrates success, the route to outstanding results often requires the courage to do less. Yet it also demands complete dedication to the essentials that remain following the elimination process, embodying the courage of conviction in a world that tends to conform. Have you ever found yourself conforming to the majority while an inner voice whispered an opposing sentiment? You are not alone in this experience. The urge to fit in, to align with the opinions, behaviors, and values of those surrounding us, represents one of the strongest psychological forces we face. However, the most impactful contributions in history have come from those brave enough to diverge from the norm when their beliefs necessitated it. This courage isn't merely about being contrary for its own sake or rejecting consensus without regard to evidence. It involves cultivating the ability to listen to your inner wisdom amid the clamor of popular opinion, to pursue your deepest insights even when they lead you away from the comfort of the crowd. Galileo Galilei held fast to his scientific beliefs in the face of formidable opposition from both religious and academic institutions. His assertion that the Earth orbits the Sun, rooted in his meticulous observations instead of accepted dogma, ultimately revolutionized our comprehension of the solar system, though it came at a significant personal sacrifice during his lifetime. Engage in what could be described as mental explorations during moments of solitude, frequently stepping away from outside influences to ponder significant questions independently before seeking the viewpoints of others. This practice enhances your ability to cultivate original thoughts instead of merely choosing from options offered by others. Get comfortable with being misinterpreted, at least for a while. The strength of conviction often entails recognizing possibilities that others may not yet see or questioning assumptions that have yet to be challenged. This inevitably leads to times when your thought process may not be easily understood by those around you. Acquiring the ability to endure this discomfort without dismissing your insights is crucial for maintaining your conviction throughout these difficult phases. Implement what you might refer to as conviction management, the skill of staying true to your fundamental beliefs while being open to adjustments based on new information. The courage of conviction does not necessitate strict adherence to initial conclusions. Rather, it involves remaining loyal to your deepest understanding as it develops through ongoing experience and reflection. Bear in mind that the courage of conviction does not release you from the obligation of thorough thinking. On the contrary, it requires even greater intellectual integrity and meticulousness, since you cannot depend on consensus to affirm your conclusions. This entails actively searching for counter-evidence, seriously considering opposing perspectives, and continuously challenging your thoughts against reality. Cultivate the courage of conviction in your personal and professional life. Tune in to your own wisdom above the clamor of the masses. Pursue your deepest understanding, even if it leads you away from majority opinion. Adhere to your principles, even when it is simpler to conform. For in a society where many individuals delegate their thinking to the collective, the bravery to stand out when your beliefs call for it can represent the most formidable type of quiet strength you can cultivate. This is the integrity of actions and principles. Have you ever encountered someone whose every deed appeared flawlessly in sync with their proclaimed values? Someone whose speech and actions were so harmonious that they exuded a kind of unwavering integrity. These exceptional individuals possess something beyond mere charm, more captivating than persuasive speech, and more impactful than power. They exemplify the integrity of alignment between what they express, what they enact, and what they genuinely hold as true. In an environment where inconsistency has become prevalent, where leaders make one pledge while fulfilling another, where organizations announce ideals they fail to uphold, and where individuals curate images that scarcely reflect their true selves, this alignment has grown both remarkably rare and immensely valuable. The strength of this integrity does not stem from flawlessness, but from congruence, the effortless connection between internal values and external actions. This alignment fosters a presence that earns respect effortlessly. When your words, actions, and principles form a cohesive entity, you communicate not just through your language, but through your essence. This integrity acts as a silent influence, more convincing than any argument and more lasting than transient authority. So, how can you cultivate this integrity of alignment in your own existence? Start with a clear understanding of your true values, not the values you believe you should possess or wish others to think you hold, but the principles that authentically guide your decisions when alone. This sincere self-evaluation lays the groundwork upon which substantial alignment can flourish. Practice what could be termed congruence checking, routinely assessing the disparity between your declared principles and your actual actions. This isn't about harsh self-criticism. Rather, it's about recognizing areas where unconscious hypocrisy might be eroding your integrity and effectiveness. When you uncover misalignment, opt to either modify your behaviors to align with your stated values or truthfully adjust your stated values to genuinely reflect your priorities. Cultivate the habit of promising less and delivering more instead of the opposite. Alignment's integrity isn't about sweeping declarations or lofty commitments. It centers on setting expectations that you can reliably surpass. This method fosters trust gradually through proven reliability rather than presumed credibility. Embody what could be known as private integrity, ensuring that your values and actions remain consistent even in situations where no one would be aware of any compromises. This harmony between public and private conduct nurtures a character that does not rely on external oversight to uphold its integrity. Remember that alignment's integrity is not primarily focused on managing your reputation, it's about achieving inner coherence. When your words, actions, and values resonate harmoniously, you attain a sense of completeness and authenticity that sidesteps the psychological toll of portraying inconsistent versions of yourself in various situations. This integration frees up energy that would be otherwise drained by the cognitive dissonance brought on by misalignment. Foster the integrity of alignment in your personal and professional life. Ensure that your statements resonate with your actions and that both genuinely represent your core values. Eliminate the discrepancies between what you claim, what you do, and what you genuinely believe. For within this congruence exists a power that surpasses mere techniques, the subtle yet profound impact of a life that conveys truth not merely through words, but through its very presence. The wisdom of taking reflective pauses. Have you ever realized that your most valuable insights seldom occur during your busiest times? Instead, the answers to your toughest challenges frequently arise in moments of calm, after the flurry of activity has subsided. This isn't by chance. It's your mind operating as it should, utilizing what we can think of as reflective intervals to turn experience into wisdom. In our fast-paced society, unending activity has nearly taken on the quality of a moral imperative. We laud the constant hustle, the round-the-clock grind, the unyielding quest for more. Yet, this relentless pace brings about a significant issue. Without consistent opportunities for reflection, experiences fail to evolve into understanding. You may amass years of activity without obtaining the corresponding wisdom if you neglect to take time to comprehend what you've encountered. These reflective intervals, intentional breaks from action to contemplate the significance and consequences, are the vital link between sheer experience and authentic understanding. They convert what could be a mere assortment of unconnected occurrences into a cohesive story of growth and evolution. In essence, it's not the experience itself from which you learn, but rather the act of contemplating that experience. How can you weave these reflective intervals into your busy routine? Start by acknowledging that reflection is not mere leisure or idleness. It's an important cognitive endeavor that warrants time allotted in your schedule. Allocate brief daily moments and longer weekly sessions explicitly for reflective thought, treating these engagements with yourself as seriously as you would any meeting with significant clients or important colleagues. Engage in what can be termed structured reflection, focusing your thinking time with specific inquiries rather than ambiguous objectives. Pose questions like, what were the successes of this week and what contributed to them? What fell short of expectations and what lessons can I draw from that? What trends am I recognizing? What assumptions might I be holding that require scrutiny? These targeted inquiries provide deeper insights than vague musing. Establish physical spaces that promote effective contemplation. Design areas intended explicitly for thoughtful reflection. This could involve a designated chair, a specific walking path, or a quiet room free from interruptions, allowing your mind to connect the environment with profound thinking. Such contextual cues enable your brain to quickly shift into a reflective state. Engage in what could be termed reflection partnering. Frequent discussions with a trusted colleague, mentor, or friend that focus on transforming experiences into insights can be invaluable. These exchanges often reveal insights that might elude solitary pondering, as articulating thoughts demands a level of clarity that silent reflection can overlook. Bear in mind that reflection necessitates a distinct kind of attention that differs from active problem solving and passive relaxation. It transforms confusion into clarity. It involves being aware of experiences without immediately judging or dissecting them, creating a space where connections and patterns can naturally arise instead of forcing conclusions. Cultivating this reflective attention is a skill that enhances with practice. Integrate moments of reflection into your daily life and work. Arrange consistent times for thoughtful evaluation of your experiences. Create surroundings that foster deep thinking and formulate questions that steer your reflection towards meaningful insights. For within these intentional pauses in the intervals between actions lies the critical process through which mere activity evolves into authentic achievement and data transforms into wisdom, navigating the journey from success to significance. Have you ever pondered the distinction between a life of success and one of significance? When reflecting on the difference between reaching goals and fostering lasting impact, or between establishing a career and building a legacy, we confront a profound question that every high achiever must face. Many individuals encounter a moment in their lives when traditional success fails to fulfill them. The promotions, profits, and accolades that once fueled their ambition can start to feel empty. This is not a sign of failure, rather it's an indication of growth. It marks the readiness to shift from mere success to true significance. Moving from personal achievements to offering something lasting that benefits others is key. This growth does not entail forsaking accomplishments. It aims to redefine their purpose. It redirects attention from what you can gain to what you can offer, from what you can own to what you can supply, and from your own advancement to uplifting others. Such a shift towards significance does not lessen success. It elevates it, crafting a legacy of contributions that endure well beyond the memory of typical achievements. So, how can you navigate this transformation in your own pursuits? Start with a contribution audit, an authentic evaluation of how your activities affect others. Are you primarily taking value or generating it? Are you leveraging existing frameworks for personal gain, or are you enhancing those frameworks for the benefit of all stakeholders? This transparent assessment sets the foundation for your journey toward greater significance. Embrace what could be termed legacy thinking. Consistently reflect on how your current actions may influence people and circumstances long after you have departed. This broader perspective naturally transitions the focus from short term gains to long term contributions, from fleeting advantages to lasting impact. Cultivate your ability for what might be referred to as contribution innovation, applying your distinct skills and resources to tackle important needs or seizing opportunities that others may have missed. Similar to how innovation in business generates new value in the market, contribution innovation cultivates fresh impacts within the communities, environments, or institutions that resonate with you. Engage in what could be termed significance partnering. Form strategic collaborations with individuals whose complementary skills can amplify your impact. Just as business alliances yield more commercial value compared to solo efforts, intentional partnerships aimed at contribution foster exponentially greater significance than solo endeavors. Consider the physician Alice Hamilton, who, after achieving notable success as one of the first female doctors in the United States, immersed herself in the then overlooked domain of industrial medicine. Through diligent research on workplace toxins and relentless advocacy for safety standards, she saved numerous lives and established occupational health as a vital medical specialty, creating an impact that far exceeded her personal medical career. It's crucial to understand that moving from success to significance does not necessitate monumental actions or a complete career overhaul. It often starts with minor adjustments in how you engage with your current work and relationships. When you begin prioritizing the influence of your actions over their rewards and start evaluating your accomplishments by the contributions you make instead of just the compensation you receive, you've already embarked on the path toward significance. Embrace the transition from success to significance within your own path. Shift your perspective from achievement to contribution. Broaden your attention from accumulation to allocation. Redirect your energy from acquiring to giving. For it is within this shift, this movement from building personal success to cultivating lasting significance, that the true realization of your potential and the authentic measure of your life's worth can be found. Allow your actions to convey your message. In a world brimming with distractions, your silence transforms into a powerful asset. Speak only when it is meaningful, otherwise excel through quiet actions. Concentrate, construct, and triumph. Each silent step you take brings you nearer to victory. Speak less, accomplish more. The power is held by those who achieve quietly.